All right, let's go to the next one. Are there any other pros in the area that you love to work with? This question, I mean, I think there's some sort of like theory that's out there that and I get this all the time in consultations that I conduct, that that there's some battle that's going to happen between the photographer and the videographer, or some battle between that there's some,
it doesn't have to be that way,
right? That there's like some horror story that's out there that honestly, I have never been on a shoot. I mean, I've been on the shoot with photographers that maybe weren't as courteous, but never to the point where I felt like I was gonna do some cage match with with a photographer. I mean,
I have.
You've had that experience
but
before?
Like overall, how often?
It's rare, but
rare.
it
rare.
It happens.
Yeah, I mean,
I got the email one time from a photography company making sure we were gonna stay so far away and do all this stuff behind them because they had a problem before, but we never have.
Yeah,
not that I know of.
I haven't. I mean, I haven't had those kinds of experiences. I mean, usually when when I'm filming, and I always tell our team that when they're filming too, when they walk in the door, the first thing you do is I just say to the photographer, I introduce myself. I've never worked with them before, and just say, hey, you know what? You just do your thing. I'll work around you, and and.
Well, you're doing two different mediums, anyways. It's
right.
not like there's a competition between the two, and there really shouldn't be. I
exactly.
mean, there seems to be camaraderie there.
Right, but that's true. But there, Tom, you do have a point though. There are, but there is also a courtesy factor, I think. And sometimes photographers, I think, can forget that. Like I said, it's very rare. This does not happen all the time, and you probably can count on one hand, the number of times.
Yeah, it's every now and again, but when it happens, it sucks.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does suck. And unfortunately, I think it sucks more for the couple because if the photographer doesn't realize what's going on, then the video is going to be blown because the photographer can just take a couple of shots and walk away. The video, you're rolling continuously, and if this person's constantly coming in and out of your shots, or they're not, courteous as to where you are, unfortunately for the couple, I mean, it's what you have, So, working with good people is key. I mean, do you have an experience that you want to share, or anything that just stands out?
There was one a couple last weekend's shoot, actually.
Yeah? Oh, really? Well, this is pretty close.
Yeah,
do tell.
It just happened. It wasn't anything it wasn't the worst thing I've ever experienced, but there was a reflection. She was shooting against a window, and I was in her reflection, and she kindly asked me to move a couple times. Before I knew it, I was out in the hallway. Can you please move, sir? Can you please move?
Right.
And then she kept stopping me, and before I knew it, I was literally out in the hallway.
Oh,
so you mentioned that you think the couples will be affected by it. They really didn't know at the time.
Right. But I'm talking about afterwards.
Afterwards,
in the film.
I mean, if they find out that I'm shooting some weird angle.
Yeah.
Why was I there? That's exactly why. And you can hear it in the raw footage.
Right.
So.
Exactly. Or even worse, just flat out disregarding the.
Yeah. That happened to you not long ago too on their photo tour.
Yes.
Right.
Millennium Park.
And you were it looked like miles away, and you weren't far enough. I forgot about that one.
They were just shooting really long, and I couldn't be anywhere within about 100 or 200 feet.
With all their earpieces and
Oh, that's
if they would have told me ahead of time that this was what was going on, I could have brought my
and then again,
all my lenses
even
to
if they
the shoot.
didn't tell you ahead of time, they could have said it nicely.
Yes.
That's true. So this
goes a long way.
Another thing too, I know, a lot of times, because photography is usually booked before videography in the consultations that I do.
Well
before.
They usually book them for the engagement photos first.
That's true.
So
that's true. Now, on occasion, I do get, I have people say, well, are there any photographers that that you like to work with? And I have a set of 3 or 4 that I do refer over. DJs, though, I do get requests on DJs a lot because usually that's the next thing. So I have a set of professionals that I like to work with that I think are terrific, and so I usually will refer over at that point. It is nice. I mean, I'm not going to completely disregard this question. I think there is something to it. It is nice to have a team that works together. I know that when I'm working with Roberto, or if I'm working with Eric, some of these guys that I work with a lot, it's fun. I mean, it's not only are you going to do an awesome job for the couple, but these are people that I've built relationships with too, that are friends of mine. So it is nice to have that, or people that you see often out there, that are great to work with, and it makes it a fun day. So it's it's a good question. I don't know if I would completely base the decision on that.
Well, you can't, because
the
pricing could be out of their range, or
exactly.
There's so many factors in that.
Exactly.